Hi guys and dolls, divinedivak here, and I do videos from a mature perspective. I do videos on fragrances, wax melts, beauty products. I do a small YouTubers forum where we talk about being a small YouTube content creator. And if you are watching this video for the first time, this is my first video after I have been diagnosed with cancer. So I'm also journaling my cancer journey. So if any of these areas are of interest to you, please hit that subscribe button below, which is absolutely free to you. And that way you'll be notified. Actually, if you hit the bell and subscribe, you'll be notified that I am putting up a video. So this is my first video after being diagnosed with breast cancer. And so I'm very rusty. I've had some good days, I've had some bad days, but I wanted to actually get in and journal a little bit because I have not really talked about my journey up to this point. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to break it up as the treatments and the things pre-treatments. So to do a little bit of a review, back in the last week in June, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I will put the video talking about that above. And everything went very, very fast. And I think it's good that things went very, very fast because it just didn't give me a chance to think or to double think what I should do. Should I, wait? Should I not wait? Should I, and so everything was put in motion very quickly. And so after the diagnosis, I was diagnosed on a Friday. Well, I was notified on a Friday morning. And by the end of that morning, I already had an appointment with an oncologist. And I had an appointment to have a port put in that Monday. So, I only had a weekend, and then boom, everything was starting. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the port process. And again, I knew about ports because, of course, then I dove into talking to people that I knew were breast cancer overcomers. And I wanted to understand what they went through. You can't fully understand what they went through. You can kind of only surface understand what they went through. But I am very needle averse, and so any way to get around a needle, I will get around a needle. But when you're going through chemo, there's really no way to get around a needle per se. There's a lot of, I will take a public service announcement. I'm going to be talking in very plain terms. So if you are squeamish in the stomach, I'll try to see if I can make notations when I'm going to go into detail about something. So back to what I was saying. So I'm very needle averse. So I didn't want, the idea of them just taking blood was just, oh, now they're going to be taking blood all the time. I can't deal with this, there's got to be another way. But putting in a port was the best thing that happened because less needles, less everything. So the day came, it was in the morning, I had a morning appointment, and I went in to the hospital side, I guess, of where I was. It was the vascular place. And so you go in, that nurse, I believe her name was Caroline, excellent. The intake nurse, excellent. Just kind of explained what was going to go on. And I just, was calm. And my brother was with me. He has been a guardian angel. He's been a godsend. That's what I wanted to say, godsend. He's been a godsend. And a lot of times words just don't come out right. And it comes out right even less with chemo brain. So sometimes I'll be fumbling for words. But he was excellent. So I went, I had to endure the IV. I was okay with that. My doctor's orders were that they were to take blood, but they needed to take blood. The IV is to put things in. Obviously, to take blood, you have to use a different vein because you're pushing things in versus taking things out. And so I said, okay, and so I was prepared that, okay, I'm going to be asleep. When they take the blood, there'll be no issue. And one of the things for me in this whole cancer journey is to control the few things that I can control. There's not a lot you can control. You're going to get this chemo. You're going to get, you're going to get sick. You're going to lose your hair. There's so many things that you can't control. But the few things that you can control is very important to be able to do that. And so the fact that from the onset, the Friday before, all of that, I had set up with my doctor that they were not going to take any blood while I was awake. So I didn't have to deal with needles in my arms. And unfortunately, that did not happen. So after I was there and everything was going on, they said, well, the doctor who's actually putting the port in has to take some blood from you it's his procedure to take blood from you, so to make sure that you're not going to bleed out on his table, blah, 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 Skippy. So I said, okay, I get it. I don't like it. I get it. And so they brought the person who was going to take the blood. I said, but all the rest of the blood is going to come from the port because that's what my doctor told me, and we worked it out that was going to happen. Oh, yeah. So then the doctor's nurse came in, and that's where my problem began with the port. Not the placement, nothing about that, just her. Because the person who was taking the blood, I don't know if they're still called phlebotomists or whatever, he was excellent. I mean, I told him I was needle averse, blah, blah, blah. He got the thinnest needle he could get, and he was just about to place the needle in my arm when she came in the room and said, stop. There's a whole bunch of blood work that her doctor has asked for. I said, I know. There is a bunch of blood work that my doctor's asked for. It's supposed to come from the port. Yeah, and she goes, oh, yeah. I'm like, it's supposed to come from the port, not my arm. And so she said, wait a minute, don't do anything. So, we wait like 20 minutes, and then she comes back in, and then she goes, okay, well, you can take the, she comes in on my other side, and so he starts taking the blood. So he takes the 2 vials that he needed for the doctor, and then he starts continuing taking more and more vials. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. All the blood work that was supposed to be taken from the port, not from my arm. And so she's on the other side of me going, yes, like patting me like I'm a dog. Yes. And she's all condescending. I'm like, wait a minute, lady. This is not what's happening. And so I said, I know you're taking all the blood that should have been taken from the port, you're taking from my arm. And she's like, oh, no, we're not. And I look at the phlebotomist, the guy who's taking the blood, and I'm like, and he's like, yeah, she's taking all of them. Because he only needed 2, and this guy took like 6. I was furious. My brother's like, calm down. Yeah, I was furious. I was fit to be tied. So then the guy comes in, it's already done. I mean, I'm mad, but it's already done. But I know I'm going to call a hospital afterwards and complain because that woman was horrible. I don't even remember her name. Horrible. So anyway, they come in. The guy who's going to give me the drugs comes in and he starts to tell me about what he's going to, what's going to happen, give me some idea of what's going to happen, and that he will definitely put me asleep. I won't feel anything. So he rolls me into a room. I say bye to my brother. He rolls me into a room, and I get up on the bed, and there's a big screen, like a TV screen, on the side of me, where I can see my vitals and things like that, because they started hooking me up and taking my vitals. And through this journey, if I didn't know my last name and my date of birth, I know it now. So anyway, we go through all of that, and so then he says, okay, we're going to kind of anesthetize that area. I'm like, you're not going to anesthetize that area before you knock me out. He goes, well, we won't knock you out, but we'll put you, deep enough under. I'm like, well, you got to put me deep. I'm a needle averse, and I'm like, hey, I tell everybody I don't have a problem telling you I'm needle averse. I'm needle averse, So you need to knock me out. So I know I felt the first needle, and then after that I was like gone. He's like, you know, and they did what they did, and you know, the next thing I know, they're asking me, well, do you want us to lift you into the table, back onto the gurney, or do you think you can move? I'm like, no, lift me, because I was in a happy place. Lift me. And so they take me into the room, back into the room with my brother. So what the port is, it's a little dot, and it's a little dot on my chest, my wall of my chest, where they put, and squeamish alert, where they put a little needle in where they get blood in and they get blood out. And then they also put in the medicine. And the needle goes into what they call a port, which is a little round thing. And there's a tube that goes up through my neck, which is right here, and then into my heart. Because the chemotherapy will burn. One of the things that it does is if it doesn't get in the vein properly, it will burn going in. So it's easier to do it through, goes through the jugular and then goes into the heart directly, and then it pumps throughout the body. And it's probably more efficient that way because your body's meant to pump blood all through your body so that the chemo goes all through my body. So it was a success. One of the things that they were worried about was infection, never happened. So my port is doing very well. The only issue I have with my port is that it's for the return. So pushing things in, they flush things, everything goes, you know, the chemo goes in well, the flushing goes in well. The only problem that I had was that my body kept creating a sheath so that they couldn't pull anything out. So they could put things in, but they couldn't pull things out. So then we figured out that it was positional, and so I have to contort myself. And so this might happen to you. I have to contort myself in order to get them to allow blood, or for my body to allow blood to come out of the port, and so that they can test my blood. Because before you get chemo, they always test your blood to see what your white blood count cell is, white blood cell count is, your red blood cell count is, and your hemoglobin, and a couple of other things. And so far, I have been healthy enough to get treatment every time. So that is a quick and down and dirty rundown of what happened to me and my port. So if you found any of this information interesting, or you had a different port story, please comment below, and I will see you in my next video.